Christmas movies. We all remember Christmas movies, right? And I'm not talking about those Hallmark fucks either. No, I'm talking about real American classics. You know, the movies that invoke all those childhood memories that you rewatch every single year and they just get better and better with age. What happened? Why do we get so few? And why is everything on streaming? I say there's only one person to blame. It's you, the viewer. You ruined it for the rest of us. But I'm not here to blame you. I love you. It's the holidays after all. I mean, this is why I made this video. I want to talk about Christmas movies.
Remember what Lucy said? This doesn't seem to fit the modern spirit.
More importantly, I have one question. What makes a Christmas classic? From what I can see, we don't appreciate a film as a classic or recognize it as such until years and years after its initial release. Take It's a Wonderful Life, for example. It took like a whole, 3 decades after the initial release of It's a Wonderful Life to really get its recognition as a honorary Christmas miracle. The movie was playing on syndication in the 70s, and out of nowhere, everybody was watching it. And we still watch it. It's a Christmas tradition for most people, watching It's a Wonderful Life. And you know what? Make Jimmy Stewart wait, alright? He's an ungrateful fuck. His life was fine. It was perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong with his life. Every movie he's complaining, alright? Rear Window. Oh, my girlfriend's too hot. I got a broken leg. Let me spy on my neighbor. Maybe he's doing something. But this is something I've noticed with a lot of Christmas movies, actually. I mean, even Die Hard has been graced with this as well. I mean, it's always been a great film. It had fantastic reviews upon release. It was a box office smash. It's obviously a global franchise hit. But I want to say within the past 10 years, it's been the cool thing to say, Die Hard's a Christmas movie. It's a Christmas classic.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Die Hard's no longer cool to say as a Christmas classic. We know it is. Everybody knows it is. Start saying Eyes Wide Shut. That's fun for the whole family. There's another film that's really gathered steam as a Christmas classic as well. That's the 2016 film Krampus by Michael Dougherty. And it really channels the Joe Dante films of the 1980s. And it wasn't really appreciated much upon release. Sure, it made $60 million at the box office, but I remember the reviews being fairly mediocre, say the least. I think it's at a 65% on Rotten Tomatoes. But now, you can't leave a Hot Topic or FYE without being punched in the face with Krampus merchandise. I've tried those chocolate bars. They taste like shit. Wait, that movie does rule. I'm on Team Krampus. It is awesome. But you know, the number one film that's kind of found its footing through cable and syndication, and also has received a ton of hate within the past few years, is A Christmas Story. Now, A Christmas Story was directed by Bob Clark, who many of you know also made another Christmas classic, a Canadian Christmas classic, Black Christmas, which can be seen as like sort of the godfather, right, of the 70s slasher genre. I know Halloween's been graced with that honor, but it's really Black Christmas that did this. But anyway, back to A Christmas Story. You know, the one fucking movie, TNT and TBS and everything that Warner Brothers owns, they play it for 10-hour blocks. It'll drive you crazy. It's a good movie. It's a great movie. It's a holiday staple. But why do they play it for 12 hours at a time? Also, do they still do this? I don't have cable. But cable really was the culprit of this. I mean, it was on constantly. This is a movie that did not do well when it first came out. It had decent reviews, and with time it's become loved, but cable has really made this a staple. Which I guess brings me to my whole point. Did cable create holiday classics? The reason we don't have like a ton of Christmas movies now, or even new Christmas classics, is because we don't watch cable. You know, this brings me to something that I saw Matt Damon say, where the reason Hollywood doesn't take so many chances is that they can't rely on video sales anymore. And the Blockbuster era, and there was so many chances they could take in the 90s and make anything, because they know, hey, at least it'll make its money back on home video. Which is a really good point. I mean, look at movies like Hocus Pocus. Wasn't that big of a deal upon release, But now Hocus Pocus 2 holds the record for the most streamed film of all time. That's mainly because of generations upon generations hailed the film as a Halloween classic and watched it and showed their kids and their cousins and so on and so forth. Which is crazy because with streaming, anything you want to watch is at the touch of a finger. Home Alone, Disney+, Christmas Vacation, HBO Max. 10 or so years ago, 15, 20 at that, we didn't start watching holiday films until ABC, TBS, and TNT aired them around November and December, and now we could just watch them whenever we want. As a country, we watched the Charlie Brown specials or the Rankin and Bass stop-motion films. It was communal. We did it all at the same time block. We don't do that anymore. That sense of community is, like, gone. Which is why I think with cable and syndication, and certainly time, we made Christmas classics. Yes, me and you, we did this together. I mean, Home Alone was another smash hit, but cable made it a phenomenon. I mean, what are our streaming holiday hits? Home Sweet Home Alone? The Christmas Chronicles? Does anybody even talk about those movies? Streaming also buries new holiday specials. Has anybody even seen Alien Xmas? Probably haven't. You probably don't even know what I'm talking about. It came out 2 years ago, produced by Jon Favreau, and it's a play on the Rankin and Bass stop-motion films. Directed by Steven Chiodo, who many of you know also did Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's a really fun movie that I think would have done amazingly on cable, ABC, WGN, whatever, 15, 20 years ago. So how do we solve this issue in the streaming era? I honestly have no idea. I mean, I can tell you what makes a holiday film for me, whether it's Christmas or Hanukkah or any of those things. It's a few things. There's a few rules to making a really solid holiday movie. I mean, it's got to speak to every emotion we feel during the holiday season. Love, family, giving back to community, you know, like Lethal Weapon. Is Lethal Weapon a big action-packed buddy cop movie? Of course it is. But it's also accepting others different than yourselves and taking care of each other during the most loneliest time of the year. And we can't forget poor old Mr. Marley, who everybody in the neighborhood thought was a stone-cold serial killer, and he wasn't. He was just a good dude. And he gives Kevin some wonderful advice in Home Alone, and even saves him at the end, and then he's reunited with his granddaughter and son. It's beautiful. I mean, even Kevin's mom learns the true meaning of Christmas from John Candy's character when she follows the polka band. I also feel like holiday films should be somewhat nostalgic and remind you of your childhood. Like this holiday classic, for example.
Invite the Grinch! Destroy Christmas!
Don't watch that movie. It is cursed. It's horrifying. Ron Howard should be in jail for what he did. That's a fucking crime against humanity. Where was I?
Hey gang, you're going with rockin' Ricky Rialto, the voice of Kingston Falls.
Joe Dante's Gremlins. Joe Dante's Gremlins has the perfect way to open a holiday movie. It's picturesque. You have Kingston Falls, the great backlot of Universal. It's where they shot Back to the Future as well. You can see the clock tower and stuff. But you have Darlene Love playing, the music is swelling, the snow is falling, young Corey Feldman's there, and you get this sense of community before the chaos ensues. And it just reminds you of everything about Christmas. So I asked you at the beginning of the video, what happened to Christmas movies? Can we get new holiday classics? I think ultimately, yes. But that will depend on how they live or die in a theater. Krampus was a great example, for sure. I mean, it was a modest hit, and people cared enough to watch it over and over again, and boutique labels put it out on 4K Blu-ray with extended cuts and merchandise and toys. There's another film, Violent Night, that's coming out with David Harbour that looks like a ton of fun, and I think that we could look at that as an example of maybe it'll have the Krampus effect. Who knows? But I think the idea of movies becoming legendary from cable is over. Oh, one last thing. I don't want to forget. I got a bone to pick with this guy. He's probably watching because he watches everything that people do. He's a fucking creep. Alright, here we go. Fuck you, Santa. You've caused me great torment over the years. First, you cock-teased me with the video now. It was 2003. I maybe did like, what, 2 horrible things that year? One of them was self-defense. One year, I got the PSP when everybody got the Nintendo DS. It really didn't pay off for me until pornography was available on there, and then you could download in perfect HD. But anyway, that's my video on holiday movies. Have a great holiday season, guys. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, and we'll see you on the Thursday show.